The Book of Jasher, Yashar, Chapter 8. And it came to be in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terah, and all the wise men of Nimrod, and his astrologers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and astrologers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes towards the Shemaim that night to look at the stars. And they looked, and see, one very large star came from the east, and ran in the Shemaim, and it swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of the Shemaim. And all the wise men of the sovereign and his astrologers were astonished at the sight. And the wise men understood this matter, and they knew its importance. And they said to each other, "This only foretells the child that has been born to Terah this night will grow up and be fruitful and multiply, and possess all the earth, he and his children forever. And he and his seed will slay great sovereigns, and inherit their lands." And the wise men and astrologers went home that night, and in the morning all these wise men and astrologers rose early, and assembled in an appropriate house. And they spoke and said to each other, "See, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the sovereign. It has not been made known to him. And should this matter get known to the sovereign in the latter days, he will say to us, 'Why have you concealed this matter from me?' And then we shall all suffer death. Therefore now let us go and tell the sovereign the sight with which we saw, and the interpretation of it, and we shall then remain clear." And they did so, and they all went to the sovereign and bowed down to him to the ground. And they said, "May the sovereign live! May the sovereign live! We heard that a son was born to Terah, son of Nahor, the prince of your army. And last night we came to his house, and we ate and drank, and rejoiced with him that night. And when your servants went out from the house of Terah to go to our respective homes, to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to the Shemaim, and we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with great speed, and swallowed up 4 great stars from the 4 sides of the Shemaim. And your servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and were greatly afraid, and we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our wisdom the proper interpretation of it, that this matter applies to the child that is born to Terah, who will grow up and multiply greatly, and become powerful, and kill all the sovereigns of the earth, and inherit all their lands, he and his seed forever. And now our master and sovereign, see, we have truly made known to you what we have seen concerning this child. If it seems good to the sovereign to give his father value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and his evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through his evil." And the sovereign heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. And he sent and called for Terah, and Terah came before the sovereign. And the sovereign said to Terah, "I have been told that a son was born to you last night, and after this manner was observed in the Shemaim at his birth. And now therefore give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil rises up against us. And I will give you for his value your house full of silver and gold." And Terah answered the sovereign and said to him, "My master and sovereign, I have heard your words, and your servant shall do all that his sovereign desires. But my master and sovereign, I will tell you what befell me last night, that I may see what advice the sovereign will give his servant. And then I will answer the sovereign on what he has just spoken." And the sovereign said, "Speak." And Terah said to the sovereign, "Ayon, son of Mored, came to me last night, saying, 'Give to me the great and good-looking horse that the sovereign gave you, and I will give you silver and gold, and straw and food for its value.' And I said to him, 'Wait till I see the sovereign concerning your words. And see, whatever the sovereign says, that I will do. And now, my master and sovereign, see, I have made this matter known to you, and the advice which my sovereign will give unto his servant, that will I follow. And the sovereign heard the words of Terah, and his wrath was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool. And the sovereign answered Terah, and he said to him, Are you so foolish, ignorant, or lacking in understanding, to do this matter, to give your good-looking horse for silver and gold, or even for straw and food? Are you so short of silver and gold that you should do this matter, because you cannot obtain straw and food to feed your horse? And what is silver and gold to you, or straw and food, that you should give away that fine horse which I gave you, like which there is none to be had on the whole earth? And the sovereign left off speaking, and Terah answered the sovereign, saying, Like this has the sovereign spoken to his servant. I beg you, my master and sovereign, what is this which you said to me, saying, Give your son, that we may slay him, and I will give you silver and gold for his value? What shall I do with silver and gold after the death of my son? Who shall inherit me? Only then at my death the silver and gold will return to my sovereign, who gave it. And when the sovereign heard the words of Terah, and the parable which he brought concerning the sovereign, it grieved him greatly, and he was troubled at this word, and his wrath burned within him. And Terah saw that the wrath of the sovereign was kindled against him. And he answered the sovereign, saying, All that I have is in the sovereign's power. Whatever the sovereign desires to do to his servant, then let him do. Even my son, he is in the sovereign's power. Without value in exchange, he and his two brothers that are older than he. And the sovereign said to Terah, No, but I will purchase your younger son for a price. And Terah answered the sovereign, saying, I beg you, my master and sovereign, to let your servant speak a word before you, and let the sovereign hear the word of his servant. And Terah said, Let my sovereign give me 3 days' time, till I consider this matter within myself, and consult with my clan concerning the words of my sovereign. And he pressed the sovereign greatly to agree to this. And the sovereign listened to Terah, and he did so, and he gave him 3 days' time. And Terah went out from the sovereign's presence, and he came home to his clan, and spoke to them all the words of the sovereign. And the people were greatly afraid. And it came to be in the 3rd day that the sovereign sent to Terah, saying, Send me your son for a price, as I spoke to you, and you should not do this. I will send and slay all you have in your house, so that you shall not even have a dog remaining. And Terah hastened, as the matter was urgent, from the sovereign, and he took a child from one of his servants, which his female servant had borne to him that night. And Terah brought the child to the sovereign, and received value for him. And Yahuwah was with Terah in this matter, that Nimrod might not cause Abram's death. And the sovereign took the child from Terah, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground. For he thought it had been Abram, and this was concealed from him from that day. And it came to be forgotten by the sovereign, as it was the matter of providence, not to allow Abram's death. And Terah took Abram his son secretly, together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave, and he brought them there, their provisions monthly. And Yahuwah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up. And Abram was in the cave 10 years. And the sovereign and his princes, diviners and wise men, thought that the sovereign had killed Abram. Chapter 9. And Haran, son of Terah, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those days. Haran was 39 years old when he took her, and the wife of Haran conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Lot. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bore a daughter, and she called her name Sarai. Haran was 42 years old when he brought forth Sarai, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the sovereign and his subjects had forgotten the matter of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instruction of Yahuwah and his ways. And no man knew where Abram was. And Abram served Noah and Shem his son for a long time. And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years. And Abram knew Yahuwah from 3 years old. And he went in the ways of Yahuwah until the day of his death, as Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other mighty ones. And they forgot Yahuwah, who had created them in the earth. And the inhabitants of the earth at that time made for themselves, every man his mighty one, mighty ones of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver. And the sons of men served them, and they became their mighty ones. And the sovereign and all his servants, and Terah with all his household, were then the first of those that served mighty ones of wood and stone. And Terah had 12 mighty ones of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year, and he served each one monthly. And every month Terah would bring his grain offering and drink offering to his mighty ones. Thus Terah did all the days. And all that generation were wicked in the sight of Yahuwah, and they thus made every man his Elohim. But they forsook Yahuwah, who had created them. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew Yahuwah, for they served each man his own mighty one, except Noah and his household. And all those who were under his counsel knew Yahuwah in those days. And Abram, son of Terah, was becoming great in those days in the house of Noah, and no man knew it, and Yahuwah was with him. And Yahuwah gave Abram an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were worthless, and that all their mighty ones were worthless, and were of no use. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth, and Abram said to himself, Indeed now this sun that shines upon the earth is the mighty one, and I will serve him. And Abram served the sun in that day, and he prayed to it. And when evening came, the sun went down as usual. And Abram said within himself, Indeed, this cannot be Elohim. And Abram still continued to speak within himself, Who is he who made the Shemaim and the earth? Who created upon earth? Where is he? And night darkened over him, and he lifted up his eyes toward the west, north, south, and east. And he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth, and the day became dark. And Abram saw the stars and moon before him, and he said, Indeed, this is the mighty one who created the whole earth, as well as man. And see, these, his servants, are mighty ones around him. And Abram served the moon, and prayed to it all that night. And in the morning, when it was light, and the sun shone upon the earth, as usual, Abram saw all the matters that Yahuwah Elohim had made on earth. And Abram said to himself, Indeed, these are not mighty ones that made the earth and all mankind, but these are the servants of Elohim. And Abram remained in the house of Noah, and there knew Yahuwah in his ways. And he served Yahuwah all the days of his life. And all that generation forgot Yahuwah, and served their mighty ones of wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. And sovereign Nimrod reigned safely, and all the earth was under his control, and all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, Put, Mitzrayim, Cush, and Canaan, with their clans. And they said to each other, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching the Shemaim. And we will make ourselves renowned, so that we may reign over the whole world, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, and that we may not become scattered over the earth because of their wars. And they all went before the sovereign, and they told the sovereign these words. And the sovereign agreed with them in this matter, and he did so. And all the clans assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men. And they went to seek a spacious piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley, at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk. And they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city, and the tower that they had planned to complete. And the building of the tower was a transgression to them and a sin. And they began to build it. And while they were building against Yahuwah Elohim of the Shamayim, they devised in their hearts to fight against him, and to go up into the Shamayim. And all these people and all the clans divided themselves in 3 parts. The first said, "We will go up into the Shamayim and fight against him." The second said, "We will go up to the Shamayim and place our own mighty ones there and serve them." And the third part said, "We will go up to the Shamayim and smite him with bows and spears." And Elohim knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower. And because of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year. And after that, they reached the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. Thus was it done daily. And see, these went up, and others came down the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. And Yahuwah knew their thoughts. And it came to be, when they were building, they shot the arrows toward the Shamayim, and all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, "Indeed, we have slain all those that are in the Shamayim." For this was from Yahuwah, in order to cause them to stray, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the earth. And they built the tower and the city, and they did this matter daily until many days and years were past. And Elohim said to the 70 messengers who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, "Come, let us go down and confuse their tongues, that one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor." And they did so to them. And from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it on his neighbor, that he would die. And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in this way. And Yahuwah smote the 3 divisions that were there, and he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, "We will go up to the Shamayim and serve our mighty ones," became like apes and elephants. And those who said, "We will smite the Shamayim with arrows," Yahuwah killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. And the 3rd division of those who said, "We will go up to the Shamayim and fight against him," Yahuwah scattered them throughout the earth. And those who were left among them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth. And they ceased building the city and the tower. Therefore he called that place Babel, for there Yahuwah confused the language of the whole earth. See, it was in the east of the land of Shinar. And as for the tower, which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part of it, and a fire also came down from the Shamayim and burned another third. And the other third is left to this day, and it is of that part which was raised, and its circumference is 3 days' walk. And many of the sons of men died in that tower, a people without number. Chapter 10. And Peleg, son of Eber, died in those days, in the 48th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah. And all the days of Peleg were 239 years. And when Yahuwah had scattered the sons of men because of their sin at the tower, see, they spread out into many divisions, and all the sons of men were dispersed to the 4 corners of the earth. And all the clans came to be, each according to its language. its land, or its city. And the sons of men built many cities according to their clans, in all the places where they went, and throughout the earth where Yahuwah had scattered them. And afterward some of them built cities in places from which they were destroyed, and they called these cities after their own names, or the names of their children, or after their particular occurrences. And the sons of Japheth, son of Noah, went and built themselves cities in the places where they were scattered, and they called all their cities after their names. And the sons of Japheth were divided over the face of the earth into many divisions and languages. And these were the sons of Japheth according to their clans: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yawin, Tubal, Meshech, and Teres. These are the children of Japheth according to their generations. And the children of Gomer according to their cities were the Pharaquim, who dwell in the land of Franza, by the river Franza, by the river Sena. And the children of Riphaz are the Bartonites, who dwell in the land of Bartonia, by the river Leda, which empties its waters in the great sea Gihon, that is, Oshinos. And the children of Togarmah are 10 clans, and these are their names: Uzar, Parzunak, Balgar, Ekanam, Ragbib, Tarki, Bid, Zebuk, Ongal, and Talmaz. All these spread and settled in the north, and built themselves cities. And they called their cities after their own names. Those are they who dwell by the rivers Hithlah and Yithlah to this day. But the clans of Angolai, Balgar, and Parzunak, they dwell by the great river Dubnai, and the names of their cities are also according to their own names. And the children of Yawin are the Yawinites, who dwell in the land of Macedonia, and the children of Madayarai, and the Arolim that dwell in the land of Curson. And the children of Tubal are those that dwell in the land of Tuscana, by the river Pashaya. And the children of Meshech are the Shebashnites, and the children of Tyrus, and Rushhush, Cushni, and Ongalis. All these went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities that are situated by the sea Yabos, by the river Kura, which empties itself in the river Tragan. And the children of Elisha are the Almonites, and they also went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities situated between the mountains of Eob and Shebathmo, and they were the people of Lombardy, who dwell opposite the mountains of Eob and Shebathmo, and they conquered the land of Italayah and remained there to this day. And the children of Shittim are the Romites, who dwell in the valley of Canophia by the river Teruah. And the children of Dodanim are those who dwell in the cities of the sea Gihon, in the land of Bordna. These are the clans of the children of Japheth according to their cities and languages, when they were scattered after the tower, and they called their cities after their names and occurrences. And these are the names of all their cities according to their clans, which they built in those days after the tower. And the children of Ham were Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan, according to their generations and cities. All these went and built themselves cities, as they found fit places for them, and they called their cities after the names of their fathers: Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan. And the children of Mitzrayim are the Ludim, Anamim, Lahaim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, and Caphtorim, 7 clans. All these dwell by the river Shihor, that is, the Wadi of Mitzrayim, and they built themselves cities and called them after their own names. And the children of Pathros and Caslo intermarried together, and from them went forth the Pelishites, and the Azathites, and the Gerarites, and the Gittites, and the Ekronites, in all 5 clans. These also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after the names of their fathers to this day. And the children of Canaan also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after their names, 11 cities, and others without number. And 4 men from the clan of Ham went to the land of the plain. These are the names of the 4 men: Sodom, Amorah, Admah, and Zeboim. And these men built themselves 4 cities in the land of the plain, and they called the names of their cities after their own names. And they and their children and all belonging to them dwelt in those cities, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly and dwelt peaceably. And Sair, son of Hur, son of Hiwi, son of Canaan, went and found a valley opposite to Mount Paran, and he built a city there, and he and his 7 sons and his household dwelt there. And he called the city which he built Sair, according to his name, that in the land of Seir to this day. These are the clans of the children of Ham, according to their languages and cities, when they were scattered to their countries after the tower. And some of the children of Shem, son of Noah, father of all the children of Eber, also went and built themselves cities in the places wherein they were scattered, and they called their cities after their names. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Ludim, and Aram. And they built themselves cities, and called the names of all their cities after their names. And Ashur, son of Shem, and his children and household went out of that time, a very large body of them, and they went to a distant land that they found. And they came upon a very extensive valley in the land that they went to. And they built themselves 4 cities, and they called them after their own names and occurrences. And these are the names of the cities which the children of Ashur built: Nineveh, Resen, Calah, and Rehoboth, and Ur. And the children in Ashur dwell there, or the children of Ashur dwell there to this day. And the children of Aram also went and built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Utes, after their oldest brother, and they dwell there. That is the land of Utes to this day. And in the 2nd year after the tower, a man from the house of Ashur, whose name was Bela, went from the land of Nineveh to sojourn with his household wherever he could find a place. And they came until opposite the cities of the plain against Sodom, and they dwelt there. The man rose up and built there a small city, and called its name Bela, after his name. That is the land of Seir to this day. And these are the clans of the children of Shem, according to their language and cities, after they were scattered over the earth of the tower. And every reign, city, and clan of the clans of the children of Noah built themselves many cities after this. And they established governments in all their cities, in order to be regulated by their orders. So did all the clans of the children of Noah forever.